Hey teachers, in this explainer, we're going to tackle Georgia's ELA standard on narrative techniques for grades 3 through 5. We're going to break down a really clear step-by-step plan to help your students not just read stories, but really get how they're built from the ground up.
It all really boils down to this one question, doesn't it? How do we pull back the curtain and show our students the actual blueprint that makes a great story tick? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today.
All right, first things first, let's unpack the standard itself. 3-5.T.T1. We're going to translate this from all that, standard speak into really clear, actionable goals you can actually use in your classroom tomorrow.
Okay, so here's the big idea, the real game changer. We're moving our students from just reading stories to analyzing how they're actually put together. This standard is all about handing them the author's toolkit so they can see these techniques and, most importantly, start using them in their own writing. So, what does success really look like? Think of this as our roadmap. By the end of this whole process, your students are going to be able to move from just analyzing what an author did to applying those exact same techniques in their own amazing stories. So, how do we teach this? Well, like any great lesson, it all starts with the I do phase. This is your time to shine, where you explicitly model the strategy and make your thinking totally visible to your students.
And the star of our show today is a strategy called story arc mapping. Let me tell you, this is such a powerful visual tool. It helps kids literally chart a story's structure from beginning to end. It's concrete, it's visual, and honestly, it just works.
What's so cool about this is that it creates this really powerful and natural cycle of learning. See how they start by analyzing a text, then they practice with the story arc tool, and finally, they slide right into creating and revising their own work. It just connects every single part of the lesson. So here are the key pieces of that story arc. You'll introduce this visual and explain that, hey, pretty much every story you love, every movie, every book, follows this same basic pattern. You've got this rising tension that builds to a peak, and then a resolution that just feels right. Okay, you've done the modeling. Now it's time to shift gears from I do to we do. This is the collaborative heart of the lesson, where you and your students are going to roll up your sleeves and tackle a text together.
Let's use this awesome little mentor text. You'd read this out loud with your class, and you could say something like, okay, team, we're going to zoom in on this one moment and see what the author is really showing us about our main character, Natalia.
And this is the money question. You're not just asking what happened, you're pushing them to make an inference, to figure something out about the character, and, this is the crucial part, to find the evidence in the text that proves it. How did you figure it out? And these are the kinds of amazing, rich responses you're listening for. I mean, look at this. They're pointing to specific clues, her posture, her inner thoughts, even comparing her to how she used to be. They're basically being literary detectives, and it's so cool to see. So, after that great discussion, you bring it all home with a summary just like this. You're giving the strategy a name. You're saying, hey, what you just did, that's what good readers do. They notice how authors use what a character says, thinks, does, and feels to show us who they really are. It makes the whole concept stick. All right, now we make that final, all-important transition to the you do phase. It's time to release that responsibility and really see if students can apply this awesome new skill all on their own.
A fantastic way to set them up for success is to use sentence stems, just like these. They're not a crutch, they're scaffolding. They give just enough structure so students can really focus on articulating their analysis clearly, what they learned about Natalia, and how they know it.
But, every classroom is different. What about the students who might need a little more support? Or what about those kids who are flying ahead and are ready for a new challenge? Let's look at a couple of great ways to differentiate.
Here are two fantastic options. For students who are ready to level up their own writing, a show-don't-tell revision activity is absolutely perfect. And for a more supportive, fun, and collaborative approach, you can have students build a story together, one sentence at a time, focusing on those techniques you've taught.
And finally, the big question. How do we know they've actually got it? When you're checking for understanding, what should you really be looking for and listening for in your students' work and their conversations? Mastery sounds like this. Students are moving way beyond just summarizing the plot. They're inferring character traits like determination or hard worker, and they can point right back to the text and tell you exactly why they think that. It's all about analysis supported by evidence. And to wrap it all up, a perfect exit ticket is to have your students use the exact tool you've just taught, that story arc, to plan their own next story. It's such a great full circle moment. It really bridges that gap between reading like a writer and writing like an author. So the question I'll leave you with is this: what story will your students start planning tomorrow?